Welcome. In this video, I'm going to show us how to create a scatter plot. What we have here is a scatter plot with total bill on the x-axis and tip on the y-axis. I'm going to show us how to create a trend line and how to interpret what the trend line means. You see our trend line, we have this red line. It has an implication on the relationship between the variables tip and total bill. A scatter plot is a visual that compares two scale variables or two numeric variables. Mainly, we create scatter plot to check if there is a relationship, popularly known as correlation, between two variables. What do we mean? For different instances, we want to know if an increase in the total bill or the bill as we have here can affect the total tip. So for instance, we have different data points that says 200 naira was the total bill and the tip was 20 naira. So we have this point here. Now we can have more data points for different values. For example, 400 total bill and the tip is around 50 something. We have it here. And we end up having so many points for different instances. Now what we try to look at in a scatter plot is a trend, a direction. For this, we have a trend line that looks something like this. What does it mean in a scatter plot? It means that when we have a value like this, we can predict the possible tip. We have a value at any point, we can predict the possible tip. That's what it means, right? So, and this is what we call a positive correlation. Why? Because a lower bill resulted to a lower tip, and a higher bill will always result to a higher tip. So it's called a positive correlation. So a negative correlation is when we have the visual looking like this. That means a low bill will result to a high tip, and a high bill will ultimately result to a low tip. This is a negative correlation, showing that the values are not in the same direction. That increase in one variable leads to a decrease in the other. Now, let's go and see how we can visualize. So this is our data table. We have the tips data table, and we are going to create a scatter plot using our tip and our total bill. To do that, we simply select tip and select total bill. We are going to have a recommended chart, but we select a scatter plot, which is the chart that we want to visualize. To do that, we simply click on this, which is a scatter plot, and we have it in this form. If you notice, we just have a dot and not multiple points. To visualize the other points, what we need to do is to go to the x-axis and select this arrow, and instead of sum, we say don't summarize. We do the same thing for the total bill, don't summarize. Of course, we can swap the axis. We drag the total bill up and drag the bill to the y-axis. And then we have the visual like this. So to edit the axis, we just go to Format. And then we go to x-axis. We can go to the values and increase it. So let's increase it to, let's say 14. We do the same thing for the y-axis. We go to y-axis and increase the value to the same figure. So we have 14. Yeah, so you can see the values. These are values that represent the tips, and these values represent the total bill. We will be interested in knowing if our trend line is going to result to a positive correlation or a negative correlation. How do we insert a trend line? We select our visual first, and we click this button. This button is for further analysis. We select it. And once we are here, you can see trend line is off. We just toggle it and have it on. And of course, we can edit the trend line The color, we can change the color. We can also change the pattern. This is dash, we can make it solid or we can make it dotted. Right? So we can choose whatever pattern that suits us. This is our trend line. We can see that from our trend line, we have a positive correlation. That a high total bill will result to a high tip. A low total bill will result to a low tip. Right? So what we have here, at the total bill of 30, we can see the tip will be around 4. And the total bill of 40, the tip will be around 5. So this is how to create a trend chart in Power BI. In some subsequent videos in this series, I'm going to show us how to perform correlation analysis in details. But here, we're just looking at how to visualize these variables. Thanks for watching.